Kinsley had always known the house in Ronda, Spain, was a cage disguised as a home. Perched on the edge of the Serranía de Ronda, with its sheer cliffs dropping into the Guadalevin Gorge, the villa her American parents had bought in a fit of midlife reinvention screamed of faded dreams. Her father, a former Marine turned expat tour guide, had chased the romance of Hemingway's Spain after Vietnam left him hollow. Her mother, Tatum, a painter whose canvases captured the fiery sunsets of Andalusia, had followed with stars in her eyes. They were the quintessential American couple abroad, bohemian unapologetic, building a life from scratch in a land that swallowed secrets whole. But for Kinsley at 15, it was just a place where the walls whispered judgments she couldn't escape. That night, the one that shattered everything, started like any other in the sticky heat of a Malaga summer. Kinsley had snuck out after dinner, her heart pounding with the thrill of rebellion. She'd met Sophia at the local mercado 2 weeks earlier, a gypsy girl with olive skin and eyes like polished obsidian, who sold handmade leather bracelets and laughed like the world was her playground. Sophia was 17, bold where Kinsley was tentative, her kisses tasting of salt and stolen figs under the moonlit Puente Nuevo bridge. It wasn't just curiosity, it was a fire igniting in Kinsley's chest, a truth she'd felt simmering since she caught herself staring too long at the girls in her international school, their laughter pulling her like gravity. They'd tumbled into the family's guest casita, a forgotten nook at the edge of the property, its door creaking like a warning. Clothes shed in a frenzy of whispers and touches that felt like salvation. Kinsley's hands trembled as they traced the curve of Sophia's hip, her breath hitching at the softness, the rightness of it all. "You're beautiful," she'd murmured, and Sophia had smiled, pulling her closer. It was pure, untainted by the world's cruelties, until the door flew open. Tatum stood there, lantern in hand, her face a mask of horror. The light swung wildly, casting monstrous shadows on the white walls. "Kinsley Marie Vargas." The words exploded like gunfire, her mother's voice raw with betrayal. Behind her, her father loomed, his broad shoulders filling the frame, eyes narrowing to slits. "What in God's name are you doing?" Time fractured. Kinsley scrambled for her shirt, heat flooding her cheeks, while Sophia bolted past them into the night, vanishing like smoke. The air thickened with accusations. "Filth, abomination, how could you shame us like this?" Tatum's hands shook as she clutched the doorframe, tears carving rivers down her face. "We brought you here for a better life, away from America's poisons, and this? This is what you repay us with." Her father didn't speak at first. He never did when rage boiled over. Instead, he grabbed Kinsley's arm, yanking her toward the main house, his grip bruising. Inside, under the harsh fluorescent kitchen light, the interrogation began. "It's a phase," Tatum pleaded, pacing like a caged lioness. "Tell me it's a phase, baby. We can fix this. Church therapy, whatever it takes." But Kinsley's silence was her confession, her chin lifting in quiet defiance even as terror clawed her gut. By dawn the decision was made. No discussions, no pleas heard. Her father packed a single duffel, jeans, a few teas, her sketchbook, and shoved it into her arms. "You're out. We can't have this under our roof. Go back to the States if you have to, but don't come back until you're cured." Cured. The word sliced deeper than any knife. Tatum watched from the doorway, her eyes red-rimmed, mouth a thin line. No hug, no goodbye. Just the slam of the wrought iron gate as Kinsley trudged down the hill, the first rays of sun mocking her with their indifference. She hitchhiked to Malaga, then caught a ferry to Gibraltar, crossing into the unknown with €20 and a heart in tatters. The States called like a distant echo. Her aunt in Seattle, a distant relation who'd always sent birthday cards with crisp 20s tucked inside. But pride, that stubborn American inheritance, kept her in Europe. She bounced from youth hostels to odd jobs. Waitressing in Barcelona's Gothic Quarter, tending bar in Lisbon's Alfama, her Spanish sharpening like a blade. Letters home went unanswered. Calls to Tatum's studio number went straight to voicemail. Sophia faded into memory, a bittersweet ghost. Years blurred. At 20, Kinsley landed in New York, chasing the city's promise of reinvention. She studied graphic design at Pratt, her sketches evolving from timid lines to bold declarations, posters for queer film festivals, murals for women's shelters. She dated a poet in Brooklyn who quoted Auden over cheap wine, a barista in the Village with tattoos mapping her scars. but none stuck. The wound from Rhonda festered, a quiet ache that surfaced in nightmares of locked doors and unspoken apologies. By 28, she was Kinsley Vargas, art director at a boutique agency in Soho, her portfolio a testament to resilience. Auburn hair cropped short, green eyes sharp as emeralds, she moved through life with a swagger that masked the girl who'd once begged for forgiveness she never got. Friends called her unbreakable. Lovers called her guarded. But success tasted hollow without closure. Therapy sessions and a walk-up on the Lower East Side unearthed the rot. Abandonment wasn't just rejection. It was erasure. It started with a Google search one rainy Tuesday. Rhonda real estate listings, her parents' villa still standing proud on Zillow. Tatum's name popped up next. A solo exhibit in Seville, Shadows of the Sierra. Her abstract oils now laced with themes of loss. Kinsley's cursor hovered over the buy tickets button, heart slamming. Then, an email from her father's lawyer. Inheritance papers. He died 2 years prior, heart attack on a hike, the obit said. No obituary mention of her. The villa was Tatum's now, and half was Kinsley's by law. The hook sank deep. She booked a flight to Malaga, telling her boss it was family business. On the plane, turbulence mirrored her gut. What truth did she owe herself? Forgiveness? Reckoning? Or just the simple act of being seen? As the daughter who'd survived, the woman who'd thrived, the lesbian who'd never apologized for loving fiercely? The Fiat rental skidded on the wet road as she crested the hill, the villa emerging like a specter from the mist. Rain sheeted down, blurring the windshield, but there it was, the same terracotta roof, the jasmine she'd once braided into crowns. She killed the engine, sat for a beat, then stepped out into the storm. The door to the courtyard opened before she could knock, and there was Tatum, older, softer around the edges, but unmistakably her mother. Silver threaded her dark hair, laugh lines etched deeper, but those brown eyes, warm as Andalusian earth, widened in shock. Kinsley. The word was a whisper swallowed by thunder. It's me, Mama. She forced a smile, water streaming down her face. 15 years late, but here. Tatum's hand flew to her mouth, a sob escaping. For a moment they stood frozen, the rain a curtain between them. Then slowly Tatum stepped forward, arms opening like a question. Kinsley crossed the threshold, the hug tentative at first, then desperate. Bodies colliding in a tangle of regret and relief. But as they pulled apart, Kinsley's resolve hardened. This wasn't absolution yet. The truth waited inside, coiled like the gorge below. They retreated to the kitchen, the heart of the house, where copper pots hung like relics and the air smelled of saffron and old wounds. Tatum poured manzanilla sherry with trembling hands, her artist's fingers stained with ochre. I thought, after your father. She trailed off, eyes darting to the window where rain lashed the panes. He made me promise not to reach out. Said it was for your own good. Kinsley sipped the sherry, its dry bite grounding her. For my good? Or yours? You let him throw me out like trash, Mama. 15 years old with nothing but a bag in your silence. Tatum flinched, sinking into a chair. I was scared. We both were. Coming here from Texas, building this life, it was supposed to be pure, untainted. And then you. God, Kinsley, I loved you so much it hurt. But I couldn't lose him too. The words hung heavy, a prelude to the storm inside. Kinsley leaned forward, voice steady. You didn't lose him. You lost me. And I lost the chance to be your daughter without shame. Outside, the rain eased to a drizzle, but the real deluge was just beginning. Tatum's exhibit folders lay scattered on the table. Sketches of fractured figures, bridges half-built. I've been painting you, she admitted, voice breaking. Every stroke, every shadow. Trying to say what I couldn't. Kinsley traced a finger over one. A girl on a cliff's edge, arms outstretched to a sunset sky. Then paint this, she said softly. Me now. Not the ghost you buried. That night, they talked until the sherry bottle emptied. Halting confessions, tear-streaked apologies. Tatum spoke of the years after. Her husband's descent into bitterness, his rants about family honor, masking his own unspoken pains from the war. How she'd buried her grief in canvas. How the villa's silence echoed Kinsley's absence. Kinsley shared fragments of her life. The hostels, the heartbreaks, the pride parades where she'd marched with signs reading love wins, even as doubt gnawed her. But dawn brought no easy peace. As Kinsley prepared to leave for her hotel in town, Tatum clutched her hand. Stay. Please. There's more. Sophia. The name hit like lightning. Kinsley froze, pulse roaring. What about her? Tatum's eyes darkened. She never left Rhonda. And she's waiting to see you. The revelation hung in the air like the mist rolling off the gorge, thick and disorienting. Kinsley stared at her mother, the sherry's warmth turning sour in her veins. Sophia. The girl whose touch had been her awakening, whose flight into the night had haunted her dreams. 15 years and Rhonda, this stubborn Pueblo Blanco clinging to its cliffs, had kept her close all along? Tatum busied herself with the dishes, clattering plates to fill the silence. After that night, she came here once, begging to explain, saying it was her fault for tempting you. A bitter laugh escaped her. Your father chased her off with a shotgun, unloaded, thank God, but the damage was done. She stayed in town, works at the Parador now. Never married from what I hear. Folks say she's got a quiet fire, tending the gardens like they hold her secrets. Kinsley's mind reeled, fragments of memory sharpening. Sophia's laughter echoing off stone bridges, her fingers laced with Kinsley's as they wandered the cobbled streets, stealing moments from a world that didn't understand. Was it coincidence or had fate, cruel jester, kept them orbiting the same sun? Why tell me now? She asked, voice barely above the drip of the faucet. Tatum turned, suds dripping from her elbows, her face a map of regrets etched in fine lines. Because burying you buried her too, in a way. And me. If we're to mend this, no more graves. Kinsley nodded, numb, and slipped out into the morning fog. The drive to Rhonda's old town was a blur of hairpin turns and wild goats scattering like thoughts. She checked into a pension near the Plaza de Toros, its room smelling of cedar and history, and collapsed onto the bed. Sleep came, fitful dreams weaving Sophia's face with Tatum's, mother and first love, twin pillars of her fractured foundation. By noon, curiosity overpowered caution. The Parador loomed on the cliff's edge, a Moorish palace reborn as luxury, its gardens a riot of bougainvillea and rosemary. Kinsley wandered the paths, heart hammering, until she spotted her. Sophia Morales, 32 now, kneeling amid rosebushes, secateur in hand. Time had been kind. Her dark hair cascaded in waves, streaked with sun-bleached gold. Her skin glowed like burnished copper under the Andalusian sun. But the eyes, those obsidian depths, held a weariness that mirrored Kinsley's own. Sophia. The name escaped on a breath. She looked up, frozen mid-snip, thorns forgotten. Recognition dawned slow, then bloomed like the roses around her. Kinsley? Dios mío. Tools clattered to the gravel as she rose, wiping dirt-streaked hands on her apron. They stood inches apart, the air electric with unspoken years. Sophia was taller than memory, her frame lean from labor, clad in faded denim and a linen shirt rolled to the elbows, revealing forearms traced with faint scars, life's quiet battles. I never thought. Sophia trailed off, a tentative smile curving her lips. You look like you belong here still. Kinsley swallowed, throat tight. I don't. Not anymore. But I had to see. They found a bench overlooking the gorge, the wind carrying whispers of the river far below. Words tumbled out haltingly at first, Sophia's life unfolding like a well-worn book. After that night, shame had chained her to Rhonda. Her family, devout Catholics, had shuttled her to a convent school in Córdoba for reformation. She'd emerged defiant, apprenticing as a gardener, channeling her rage into soil and bloom. Lovers came and went, men to appease her parents, women in stolen nights, but none filled the void Kinsley had left. I wrote letters, Sophia confessed, twisting a petal between fingers. Mailed them to your old address, but they came back. Thought you'd forgotten or worse. Never. Kinsley's voice cracked. They threw me out. My parents. I ended up in hostels, then New York. Built a life, but it was half-lived without saying goodbye. Sophia's hand brushed hers, a spark that ignited old fires. Not lust, God, no, but recognition, the soul-deep ache of what is. They talked for hours, the sun arcing westward, sharing scars like communion. Sophia spoke of her mother's deathbed plea for grandchildren that she'd never fulfilled. Kinsley of the parade floats she'd designed, rainbows woven into corporate logos, a quiet revolution. Laughter crept in, tentative, over shared memories of sneaking paella from street vendors. racing bikes down the Puerta de Almacaber. As shadows lengthened, Sophia stood. Come to the fiesta tonight? San Burnaby music lights. Like old times but better. Kinsley hesitated, glancing toward the road to her mother's villa. I came for truth, not fairy tales. Sophia's eyes softened. Truth's in the living, Carino. Start here. The fiesta pulsed with life. Lanterns strung like stars across the square, flamenco guitars wailing under a canopy of oaks. Kinsley wove through the crowd, the scent of churros and grilled sardines mingling with jasmine. She spotted Tatum in the throng, nursing a glass of Tinto de Verano, her sundress fluttering like a flag of truce. They shared a plate of tapas, the older woman's stories flowing freer now, tales of her Texas youth, wild rides across the Panhandle, painting murals in Austin dives before eloping to Spain. You're happy? Tatum asked, searching her daughter's face. Kinsley paused, fork midway to mouth. Getting there. But it hurts, Mama. The betrayal. It echoes. Tatum nodded, tears glistening. I betrayed myself first. Thought love meant perfection. Yours taught me otherwise. Across the square, Sophia danced with a group of locals, her movements fluid, hips swaying to the rhythm of castanets. Their eyes met through the haze of cigarette smoke, a pull magnetic. Later, under the bridge's arch, away from prying eyes, they walked, hands brushing, then linking. I loved you then, Sophia murmured. Love you still in a way. Kinsley's heart swelled, a tide rising. It's not then anymore. We're women now with histories. They kissed there, soft and searching, the gorges wind their witness. It was healing, not hunger. A bridge rebuilt stone by stone. But peace fractured the next day. Back at the villa, Tatum unveiled a locked trunk from the attic. Letters yellowed and tied with twine. Kinsley's undelivered. Penned in hostels from Barcelona to Berlin. And others from Sophia. Pleas for forgiveness, dreams of reunion. Your father hid them, Tatum said, voice hollow. Burned his own responses. I found them after he died. Rage surged, hot and unbidden. He stole my voice. Our voices. Kinsley rifled through, each envelope a gut punch, her pleas for reconciliation, Sophia's hopes for a future. Betrayal layered upon betrayal. Not just expulsion but erasure of connection. Tatum sank to the floor, back against the trunk. He was broken, Kins. War took his softness. I enabled it, thinking it was strength. The confrontation built like a sirocco wind. Kinsley paced, words lashing. You chose him over me. Over us. How do I forgive that? You don't have to, Tatum whispered. But witness it. I'm here now, raw as these letters. Sophia arrived unannounced, drawn by instinct or gossip. She knelt beside Tatum, the three women a tableau of fractured lineage. We all lost, she said gently. But look, we're found. Days blurred into a tentative rhythm. Mornings in the garden with Sophia, coaxing life from earth. Afternoons in Tatum's studio, brushes passing between mother and daughter, colors bleeding into shared canvases. Kinsley sketched designs inspired by the gorge, abstract swirls of blue and gold, symbolizing depths plumbed and survived. Whispers of romance bloomed with Sophia. Walks at dusk, hands entwined, stories swapped over café con leche. It was slow, sacred. A love rekindled not in passion's blaze but embers glow. Yet conflict simmered. Town whispers reached them. Old neighbors clucking about the prodigal daughter and her gypsy flame. Tatum's exhibit loomed in Seville. A vulnerability laid bare. What if they see, she fretted, the real me in the shadows? Kinsley touched her shoulder. That's the point, Mama. Truth isn't polite. The drive to Seville was charged, the three women crammed into the Fiat radio crooning Rosalia. At the gallery, Tatum's pieces hung like confessions. A triptych of a girl exiled, bridges burned, horizons reclaimed. Opening night buzzed, critics in linen suits, expats sipping cava. Kinsley and Sophia mingled, hands linked defiantly, drawing stares that slid off like water. Then the whisper that ignited the blaze. Elena, a former friend of Tatum's, cornered Kinsley in the coat room. Your mother's work. It's about you, isn't it? The scandal that broke her. Venom laced her words, eyes gleaming with schadenfreude. We all knew back then. Shame she dragged it out. Kinsley stiffened, the old wound tearing open. Shame? Or courage you never had? Elena smirked. Courage? It's desperation. And that one? A nod to Sophia circulating trays, still chasing ghosts. The barb struck true. Doubts flooded. Was this reunion real or nostalgia's trap? She slipped outside, the Seville night humid and unforgiving, tears hot on her cheeks. Sophia found her on a bench by the Guadalquivir, moonlight silvering the water. "Hey," she said softly, sitting close. "Talk to me." "It's all so fragile," Kinsley admitted. "Like one word could shatter it." Sophia took her hand. "Then let's build stronger. Not for them, for us." Inside, Tatum's toast rang out. "To shadows that teach us light." Applause swelled, but Kinsley's eyes met Elena's across the room. A challenge accepted. Back in Rhonda, the storm broke. Elena's poison spread. Anonymous notes arrived at the villa. "Sinners not welcome." Tatum burned one in the hearth, flames devouring the words. "We've faced worse," she declared. But Kinsley felt the pull of New York deadlines, a life half-built. "I can't stay forever," she told Sophia one evening, gorge winds whipping their hair. Sophia's face fell, but resolve lit her eyes. "Then take me with you. Or come back. But don't vanish again." The ultimatum hung a precipice. Tatum, overhearing, pulled Kinsley aside. "Don't choose exile for love." "I did, and lost everything." The weight of choice pressed on Kinsley like the cliffs encircling Rhonda, unyielding and eternal. Nights blurred into debates with herself. The agency in Soho with its glass towers and glittering deadlines, versus the villa's sun-warmed stones, where roots she'd thought severed now tugged insistently. Sophia's presence was a constant hum. Mornings shared over fresh oranges squeezed in the courtyard, her laughter a balm on old scars. Tatum, too, had softened into ally, her studio a sanctuary where they co-created. Kinsley's digital sketches fused with her mother's oils, birthing hybrid art that whispered of reconciliation. Yet betrayal's shadow lingered, manifesting in subtle cracks. One afternoon, rifling through the attic for forgotten canvases, Kinsley unearthed a hidden journal. Her father's, leather-bound and brittle. Pages chronicled his descent. Vietnam flashbacks scrawled in frantic script. Guilt over failing his daughter morphing into rage. "She's poisoned," one entry read. "Like the napalm that took my soul. Must excise to save the family." But deeper, a confession. "Tatum weeps at night. I silence her, fearing her love will unmake me." The find gutted her. Not just cruelty but pain's perversion. She confronted Tatum that evening, journal thrust forward like evidence. "He hated me because he hated himself. And you let it fester." Tatum's face crumpled, hands covering her ears. "I know. God, I know. After you left, I tried leaving him, packed twice, even drove to the airport. But he begged, promised change. Lies, all of it." Sophia, arriving with armfuls of market bounty figs, manchego, crusty pan. Since the fracture. Over dinner, the air thick with unspoken accusations, she mediated gently. "Blame's a chain. Break it or it binds you all." But the chain tightened with a call from New York. Her boss, voice clipped over static. "Kins, the pitch for the Pride campaign, it's gold, but we need you here. Board meeting Friday." The deadline loomed, a siren song of ambition. Sophia overheard, her pruning shears pausing mid-cut the next day. "Go," she said, voice steady but eyes stormy. "Don't clip your wings for me." Kinsley whirled, dirt flying from her trowel. "It's not just wings. It's us finally real." "And now?" Sophia set down her tools, bridging the flower bed. "Real doesn't mean easy. I waited 15 years, I can wait more. But if you stay out of obligation." She trailed off, the implication a blade. The argument escalated under the relentless sun, words flying like thorns. "You think I want to run?" Kinsley shouted. "This place broke me." "And healed you," Sophia countered, voice rising. "Or are you still that scared girl fleeing shadows?" The slap of truth stung. Kinsley stormed off, hiking the senderos to the gorge's edge, where wind howled her turmoil. Below, the river carved its patient path, remorseless, reshaping stone. Hours later she returned, finding Sophia on the casita steps, head in hands. "I'm sorry," Kinsley whispered, kneeling. "Fear's my old habit." Sophia pulled her close, foreheads touching. "Mine too. But love? It's the new one." Tatum watched from the window, a ghost of envy in her eyes. Not jealousy but longing for the grace they embodied. That night she confessed over brandy. I envied your father his certainty, even poisoned. Never questioned my own heart till you forced it. The exhibit's success rippled back to Rhonda. Reviews praising Tatum's raw humanism. Invitations followed. Panels in Madrid, workshops in Granada. But local backlash brewed. The priest at Iglesia de Santa Maria denounced deviant influences from the pulpit. Eyes on the Vargas villa. Notes escalated to vandalism. A slashed tire on Sophia's scooter. Graffiti on the garden wall. Abominations. Fear coiled anew. Tatum bolted the doors, her artist's fire dimming. Maybe it's too much. The town's small, memories long. Kinsley refused retreat. We face it. Together. She rallied. A community supper in the courtyard. Inviting neighbors. Cazuela simmering, guitars strumming. Sophia tended the tables, her warmth disarming skeptics. Tatum shared stories of Texas queers who'd built empires from outcast ranks. Most came wary but left softened. Laughter echoing where silence once reigned. Elena arrived last, uninvited, her face a thundercloud. This charade won't erase the past. She hissed to Kinsley, wine glass clutched like a weapon. Kinsley met her gaze, unflinching. Past? It's prologue. Write your own ending. Elena sneered, but faltered under Sophia's quiet stare. The room's collective warmth pressing in. She left without a scene, the gate clicking shut like a concession. Emboldened, Kinsley extended her stay. Remote work from the villa's sunroom, designs beamed to Manhattan. Romance with Sophia deepened. Lazy siestas tracing constellations on skin. Whispers of futures in bilingual dreams. New York for winter, Sophia proposed. Rhonda for spring. Bridge the worlds. Tatum bloomed too. Her next series exiles Homecoming. Selling out in Barcelona. Mother-daughter walks became ritual. Along the Camino de Rhonda, discussing Audre Lorde and Lorca. Voices weaving American grit with Spanish soul. But climax brewed in subtlety. A letter from the lawyer amending the will. Her father's codicil unearthed post-mortem. The villa's half to Kinsley only if she renounced her unnatural ways. Tatum had contested it, but the clause lingered like a curse. Rage reignited, hotter than before. He'd disown me from beyond? Kinsley tore the paper, shards fluttering like ash. After everything? Tatum wept openly. I fought it. Sold paintings to fund the suit. But the judge, conservative, said it was his right. Sophia held Kinsley as sobs racked her. It's paper, not power. Yet power it wielded, fracturing fragile peace. Kinsley retreated to New York for the board meeting, promising return. The city assaulted her, horns blaring, sidewalks thrumming. But home felt alien now, Rhonda's quiet a siren in her blood. The pitch aced. Her gorge-inspired designs, evoking depths and ascents, won the contract. Colleagues toasted. Friends dragged her to rooftop bars. But in the din she texted Sophia. Miss the stars. Miss you. Reply stars wait. Come claim them. Back in Spain disaster struck. Tatum alone confronted Elena at market. Words escalating to shoves, a public scene. You poison this town with your hate. Tatum yelled, witnessed by gaping vendors. Elena pressed charges. Assault, defamation. Bail hearing in Rhonda's courthouse. A colonial relic of judgment. Kinsley raced from the airport, heart in throat, finding Tatum pale in a holding cell. Artist's hands cuffed. Mama! The word echoed off stone walls. Tatum looked up, defiant tears streaking. For you, Mija. Couldn't let her win. Sophia waited outside, testimony prepared. The courtroom drama unfolded. Elena's histrionics, neighbors divided accounts. Kinsley testified last, voice steady. My mother's not violent. She's human, flawed, loving. Like us all. The judge, a stern woman with abuela's eyes, dismissed charges. Insufficient evidence, community mediation ordered. Relief flooded, but the betrayal's echo resounded. Elena's vendetta rooted in her own loss. A brother lost to AIDS in the 80s, grief twisted to bigotry. Post-hearing, the three women drove home in silence, then broke at the villa with hugs and vows. No more hiding, Tatum declared. We burn the codicil, metaphorically. But Kinsley's flight loomed, the clause a specter. Sell my share, she told Tatum. To you. Let it be yours fully. Tatum shook her head. No. It's ours. Fight it proper in court, in art, in living. Sophia pulled her aside at dusk. Decide, kins. Us or the ghost? The question pierced conflict cresting. New York's pull, career, independence, clashed with Rhonda's gravity. Love, legacy. Tears came unbidden. I choose us. But how? By trusting, Sophia whispered. Leap. The leap came not in grand gesture, but quiet resolve. Kinsley resigned remotely, framing it as sabbatical. Recharging in the cradle of inspiration. New York colleagues raised eyebrows, but her portfolio's fire spoke louder than excuses. Boxes shipped to Rhonda. Sketchpads, laptops, a rainbow flag that now draped the casita's balcony, fluttering like a claim staked. Tatum's mediation with Elena unfolded in the Parador's tea room, neutral ground scented with bergamot. Kinsley and Sophia flanked her, a united front. Elena arrived armored in pearls and pretense, but cracks showed, trembling hands, averted eyes. I hated what you represented, she admitted over chamomile. My brother's light snuffed and you. Thriving. Tatum reached across the linen cloth. Hate's a thief. Let it go. For him. Words bridged chasms. Shared grief over lost queer lives. Elena's reluctant tales of 80s silence. No instant absolution but a truce, her withdrawing complaints, Tatum offering a private viewing of Exiles. Elena leaving with a canvas under arm lighter. The town shifted incrementally. Graffiti washed away, invitations to garden club for Sophia. A mural commission for Kinsley on the community center. Women's silhouettes linking hands across divides. Humanistic threads woven, book club discussions of the price of salt. Youth workshops on identity, Tatum's voice at council meetings advocating for pride flags on balconies. Romance with Sophia solidified. A tapestry of everyday grace. They renovated the casita, whitewash refreshed, skylights punched for stargazing. Mornings dawned with coffee on the patio, Sophia's head on Kinsley's shoulder. Planning travels. Barcelona's gaudy wonders, New York's Stonewall echoes. Intimacy bloomed in stolen glances, forehead kisses, the profound comfort of bodies known not as conquest, but companionship. You're my horizon, Sophia murmured one night, fingers tracing Kinsley's jaw. Endless. Yet climax crested in the courtroom, the will contested anew. Kinsley's lawyer, a fierce Sevillana with a penchant for Lorca quotes, argued inheritance as right, not ransom. Tatum testified. My husband's clause was fear's dictate, not love's. Sophia spoke of resilience forged in exile. Kinsley closed. Truth isn't renounced. It's claimed. I claim my home. The judge ruled in their favor, clause voided. Freedom's ink on parchment. Cheers erupted outside, locals who'd packed the gallery spilling into hugs. Elena even nodded from the back. A silent olive branch. Post-verdict, the villa hosted a feast. Long tables groaning under jamon and gazpacho. Guitars strumming flamenco laced with blues. Tatum danced with Sophia, laughter lines deepening. Kinsley swirled with neighbors, green eyes alight. Under lantern glow, she pulled her mother aside. You were right. Truth heals. Tatum cupped her face, tears silver. You were always the brave one. I just caught up. Years folded forward. Kinsley launched a hybrid studio, designs for global queer nonprofits, rooted in Rhonda's light. Sophia's gardens expanded, eco-tours blooming with tales of Andalusian queers. Federico's hidden loves, forgotten bullfighters. Tatum's fame grew, her memoir Cliffs of Confession, a bestseller. Proceeds funding scholarships for expat youth. Betrayals faded to lessons. Her father's ghost laid in a private gorge ceremony. Ashes scattered with forgiveness whispered to the wind. Elena became unlikely friend, volunteering at workshops, her brother's memory honored in murals. One golden autumn, Kinsley and Sophia stood on the Puente Nuevo. Hands clasped, the gorge a verdant ribbon below. 15 years to this, Kinsley said, wind tousling auburn strands. Sophia smiled, obsidian eyes steady. Worth every storm. Tatum joined them, canvas bag slung over shoulder, brushes peeking. To truth spoken, she toasted with a flask of sherry. They drank, the sun dipping in fiery salute. No tidy bows, life's drama lingered in quiet doubts, town murmurs, but humanism prevailed. Love as verb, not victory. Kinsley, once exiled girl, now anchored woman, owed herself this. A home reclaimed, love's unbroken truth's voice echoing eternal. In the end, it wasn't happy or tragic, but whole American grit tempered by Spanish soul. A lesbian saga etched in cliffs and canvases, proving that return isn't arrival, but the art of becoming.